Welcome, everyone. We're at OSHEAN's Cybersecurity event today in beautiful Newport, Rhode Island. I'm here with Detective Captain John Alfred from the Rhode Island State Police. John, welcome.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
It's nice to have you. It's good to see you again. I'm so excited to see people such as yourselves from law enforcement here at a Cybersecurity Day participating in cybersecurity. I think it's been great. You know, my friends and I in cybersecurity have been working a lot with law enforcement over the years, and it's been a great collaboration. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about, as my children enter elementary school and maybe go into junior high pretty soon, what kind of education are you giving the schools and students around cybersecurity? As we know, students can get curious and maybe cross the line. So, like, what have you seen, and what's your kind of take on educating our students?
That's a great question. We talk about hacking with the white hat and the black hat, the gray hat, you know. So the state police have supported the Cyber Patriot program, which is actually an Air Force program across the state for funding and also for their graduation ceremonies. And one of the things, and what I actually ended up talking to the National about, is that are we spending enough time talking to the kids about how much power they have? Once you teach them these different tools and they learn these tools, do they recognize that it's like giving a child a gun and saying, go ahead, go play with it? You can't do that. You got to explain to them what kind of powers they have, what kind of things they do. They need
training, not just technical, but ethical as well, right?
So they do have some ethical training within the class. And what I mentioned was maybe we should do that a little bit throughout the class, the entire class, because we have had some kids that you know, they're curious, and that's the group of kids that come into that type of environment anyway. Like to be examining, you know, how does this network work and that type of thing. And they say, well, I wonder if I can take down the school network, or if I want to. And obviously, we don't want that to happen. So, yeah, I think it's very important. It's not like when I was a child, growing up, we didn't have the computers that we have, you know, today. But these kids, as you know, they're writing code in kindergarten, first grade, and it's very important that they understand the importance of what they're doing.
Right. Yeah. You know, it's interesting back when you and I both were in school, right? If there was bullying or a disagreement, it was in person. There wasn't a lot of technology to communicate as we have today. So when we talk about cyberbullying, what does that often manifest as, and what recourse do parents have if that's happening to their child?
Well, the problem, as you know, is like you said. So when you were in school, you got bullied. So someone was picking on you or picking on another kid, whoever it might be. You saw that happen in school, and the kid went home and it got away from that, right?
Right.
But now we have it so that, you know, the social media that the kids are all on, when they get home, they're still getting bullied all day and all night. And it's disheartening for the parents to see that, because obviously no one wants to see their kids be bullied to begin with, not only at school, but now you have it going on in your own house as well. So what's the answer? Do you tell your kids, well, you can't go on social media? No, that's not going to work, because
they'll find a way.
They're going to find a way. Whether under a different name and you don't know that they're there or whatever, they're going to do it. Many of the schools have done a good job. I know you mentioned where you guys are from. That they're doing a very good job, I think, working on programs. I've sent quite a few of my troopers have gone and done talks at a lot of the schools talking about how to avoid cyberbullying, what to do if you get cyberbullied. And it's the old adage that we've always known about, is you got to tell someone that you trust, an adult that you trust, and go and work with them. I think the schools have made a full circle of recognizing the importance of protecting these kids. I'd say 10, 12 years ago, when I started into the computer crimes business, not so much, because I don't think they understood how much these kids were on, now it's much more than they used to be. So I think the schools are the first resource, and then if there's a further problem from there, the police do get involved at sometimes.
Sure. I want to transition to another topic. Don't be concerned. It's totally in your wheelhouse,
okay.
John. As we observe crime over time, right, I firmly believe criminals are very opportunistic. And so as technology evolves, right, the criminals are sometimes ahead of the curve,
most
right?
Of the time, actually.
Yeah, most of the time they're ahead of it, taking advantage of that technology to commit crimes. I always think of the episode of Sopranos where they were running a scam with phone cards. The telephone, cards, right, that you would put minutes on, and you'd use a payphone, and they had some scam that was involved with that. I'm like, well, now everyone has a cell phone, So, and then now everyone has smartphones, internet is everywhere. So how have computer crimes evolved? Like, what are some of the recent kind of trends that you're seeing where criminals are taking advantage of technology?
Well, and so I always propose the question, can you think of a crime right now, any crime at all, that doesn't involve some type of technology?
It's true.
There's not one. So my office has had everything from a murder to cyber harassment complaint. You know, it's everything. I mean,
cyber harassment's like adult cyberbullying, right?
Right, like exactly.
And that
what
happens too. I mean, I've had friends that have been in that situation.
Absolutely, yep. And so the gamut, it's all there. And it can be helpful for us at times because it gives us some way to track a lot of times, especially with phones.
And it's interesting you say that, John. When police officers that are in a city, I find that now they're asking when a crime is committed, can you check the logs on your router to see if the person's phone associated to your Wi-Fi network, and it does the time match up, and as a way of basically placing that person in a particular spot.
Sure, and we can also do it. I mean, there's other technology too to triangulate as to where that person was through towers and whatnot. But now we also have Internet of Things. We have machines in the house that can tell us whether or not a person was there. I mean, so I've seen it grow, and for me, one of my biggest difficulties is trying to keep up with this stuff. That understand the technology so that we can investigate it. Because like you said, many times these things happen and they've taken advantage of it already, but we haven't quite seen that yet. But like, oh yeah, that's how he's doing that. That must be how it happened, right?
Yeah, so you have to be ahead so you can spot, so you know what to potentially look for, right? Yeah.
And it seems to go in trends too. And I don't know if it's because the other criminals looking at what one criminal's doing to make the money or whatever, and they say, hey, that's working for him. Why don't we try it?
Right. Yeah, so they start a trend.
Yes,
exactly. Yeah, we've seen that in cybersecurity as well in terms of the attack trends, right?
Yep.
They tend to kind of follow and spike based on communication between criminals. What can the security community do to help law enforcement such as yourself? What do you need from us?
Well, I'd say, and I tell a lot of times when we get called in, the place is already burned down. There was no batteries in the smoke alarms, and everything's done, and we're the last resort, right? So by the time we get there, people have trampled all over any evidence that we might have been able to try to get.
Right.
And I'm sure you've seen that a million times in your world as well.
Yep.
So I always say, let me know in advance if you're going to make a complaint or if you're going to file a complaint. I need evidence, and the evidence that I have is what you're trampling over. It's not going to do me any good. It's too late.
Right.
Granted, 9 times out of most times it's going to come from out of the country, and I may not have the jurisdiction.
Yep.
But at least I have the contacts and the information internationally and nationally
to pass it along.
And maybe get some help on those lines.
So call sooner.
Call sooner, and even if I'm not going to show, let's say you decide you don't want to file a complaint. I know people because I'm in your group of people all the time, so I talk to them, and even if I don't say that I know everything. I know I don't know anything. I could talk to somebody else that does know something,
Sure.
So, and I deal with these people day in and out that by the time they get a hold of me, it's too late. The house is burned down.
So call early, right?
Call early, yep.
And from the security community, helping law enforcement stay up on the latest trends before they're taken advantage of by criminals, ideally.
Absolutely.
Great.
The state police have taken an initiative in the past year and a half. I run what they call a joint cyber task force.
Yep.
And the task force is a public-private partnership where we share information back and forth. And my purpose of creating that back in 2009 was to I recognized that I need the people, the security people on my side because you own 90% of the entire network across the country, and I don't know what you know. That's what you do day in and day out. I'm a cop to begin with, and then I kind of understand some of the security parts of things now because I've learned through you guys. So that being said, I need those people to help me out, and it's a great thing. The state police has let me do it, and I'm thankful for that. And I think they've started to see in the last couple of years. Back in 2009, no one was talking about cybersecurity in the police world.
It's true, yeah.
Fast forward to now, and you have like the White House is being broken into inside the web page and the Targets and the Home Depots. I mean, so now all of a sudden it's become the thing, right?
Right.
So
and I have seen that trend.
Yeah.
Thankfully, largely in part to work from people like yourself.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Sean.
Hey, thanks for having me, Paul.